Big stories, short time. Welcome to Story in Shorts 01.
ICE immigration officers suddenly kick their door in and begin to cuff them. Amidst the chaos, Lily and her brother JP try to reach each other but are knocked out. Later on, reporters cover footage of ICE as they arrest illegal immigrants who are then locked up in a facility. The new governor, Governor Finn Harper, is trying to get rid of them because they aren't big fans of his. Their children who got citizenship of the United States after being born are also being locked up. The governor calls this new policy
zero tolerance.
After a while, we see JP in his cell staring into space. Just then, he notices Lily as she's being dragged out by the officers and calls out to her, but she doesn't notice him. Lily is then hustled into a bus and driven off somewhere. The next morning, JP wakes up to see a not-so-welcoming message on the wall beside him. He's jolted back to reality as an angry dog barks beside him, stirring him to life. A few days pass and JP is led to a room where he meets an immigration officer who had sided with the illegal immigrants on TV. She offers him different ways of reuniting with his parents, but most of them involve shelling out substantial sums of money or getting a lawyer. Among all the solutions she provides, taking part in a volunteer program for the elderly is the simplest way out. She tells JP that it's up to him to decide, but JP reminds her that he doesn't exactly have a choice. It's not like he's got a locker filled with money or something. Later on, JP and some others are briefed on the program they've been invited to participate in. After that, we're introduced to some of the other kids. Meet Camila Montez, a political activist and a diva with an attitude that could spit fire.
That's some racist shit, though. To assume that I use drugs? Do I assume you dance poorly to Vanilla Ice, dressed in your khaki shorts while stress eating a kale salad?
Well, that's exactly what I'd expect from Wednesday Addams. The next character? Chris Morales. His anxiety levels are so high they'd be competing with a mountain, so much that he doesn't even want to drink water that hasn't been tested. Our utmost apologies, Your Royal Highness. And then there's Big Mac, a black Latino who messes around with his interviewers, and he's a classic womanizer. He even claims to have spent some time in jail for stealing women's hearts. Well, welcome to jail too, bro.
Big ladies need love too.
Finally, Micah, a mystery girl from Argentina, joins them. Upon arriving at the elderly home, the volunteers meet Eric Dane, the organization's founder, who warmly welcomes them. He also makes a passing remark about how they would probably leave the facility with a more profound appreciation for life.
And I promise you, you stick with the program, you're going to leave this place more mature.
They are then introduced to security guards, Cynthia and James, who inform them that they must wear trackers at all times, raising some suspicions among the newcomers. The volunteers are then tasked with engaging the dementia-stricken elders through activities like chess and reading to prevent them from wandering off.
Your job is to play chess, read to them, blah, blah, blah.
As they tour the facility, JP gets an unsettling moment of eye contact with an elderly woman named Greta, leaving him questioning whether or not he should be concerned. While they talk over lunch, Big Mac complains about their meal option, which is basically the furthest thing from a Big Mac.
Will I be there? How am I supposed to maintain my superior intellect eating this nasty-ass meatloaf?
Micah accuses him of being obnoxious, but Big Mac is more curious about where she came from because she doesn't look the least bit like an American.
I'm Argentinian, boludo.
So you're not white?
Chris, on the other hand, thinks he would get STDs from touching the old people, telling the others his grandfather's story.
Yeah, Grandpa died 5 weeks later, and when they did the autopsy, they found like 7 different STDs on him. Fool had a herpes sore at the funeral, like... No! So my point is, you want to get gonorrhea, go ahead and touch a few of these geezers.
As the others force down their miserable excuse for lunch, aside from the 2 girls who are vegetarians and only eat fruits and veggies, Chris makes occasional use of his inhaler, informing the rest that he doesn't eat any food aside from his mom's.
He's the only person I trust not to poison me.
Okay, so you're not eating nothing?
No, man, or drinking. That's how they get you.
Later on, while taking care of the elderly residents, JP sees Greta, the elderly lady from earlier. He tries to talk to her, but she doesn't respond. Micah suggests that he read to her, but after he starts reading, the lady grows hysterical and tells him repeatedly that he'll die here. Before JP can ask her what she means, Cynthia walks up to them and injects Greta with a serum. As Cynthia leads JP out, JP wonders where they're taking her, but James dismisses him. On the bright side, Camilla praises JP and his way with the ladies, which is on the wrong side of the spectrum, if you get what I mean. Meanwhile, Big Mac and the others try to convince Chris to eat, or at least drink a glass of water, but he proudly declares that he will not eat or sleep until he makes his way out of the facility. Chris gets paranoid as he now believes that they're being watched. He even suggests that they escape, but the others think he's crazy. If we're being honest, though, he doesn't exactly look sane right now. The others believe that he's more paranoid due to his lack of nutrients, but Chris still believes that something shady is going on. He has the impression that someone is watching them from the one-sided window at the end of the dining hall. After Micah asks why he hasn't tried to escape, Chris decides to try his luck despite the warnings from the others. He walks to the door with all the bravado of a soldier and tries to open the door as a demonstration to the others, but unfortunately, all bravery and no muscle makes one a punching bag. The security guards attack him instantly and tase him before taking him to an unknown location. But all Big Mac can notice is how Chris pissed himself. Classic. Later on, JP wakes up in the middle of the night to use the restroom. He spots a mysterious owl outside the window and stares in shock. Just then, the door behind him opens, and JP turns to look at it. But as soon as he turns around, he discovers that the owl has mysteriously disappeared. The whole thing feels like a scene straight out of a horror movie, so it's not shocking that JP is scared for his life. Looks like JP is the opposite of a fraidy cat because he walks on undeterred. JP spots someone walking down the hallway, but thinks nothing more of it until he sees a naked woman who continually mutters to herself.
Hey, it's
We'll
okay.
set you free!
She then launches herself at JP, practically shouting at the top of her lungs that Virgil will set him free. Luckily for JP, James and Cynthia arrive at that moment and rescue him. JP stares after them while wondering what they'll do with the strange woman. James and Cynthia claim that she ran away from her room, but JP suspects that something is very wrong. Later on, Eric shows them around as Big Mac wonders what happened to Chris. Eric then leads them to a secluded ward filled with patients who either have Alzheimer's or a skin condition.
Keep them comfortable, spoon feed them, wipe their asses till they die.
Thanks for the dramatic quip, Wednesday. While Eric admits that she's not too far from the truth, he's not exactly thankful for her matter-of-fact statement. JP, Camilla, and Big Mac are left to work with James, who shows JP his first patient. Apparently, this old man has a thing for biting people. James mocks the old man, but JP tells James not to do so because he's not comfortable with it. Things get heated between them as James mocks JP and calls him hombre.
Hey man, don't call me hombre.
Kid, I'll call you hombre, chico, nacho, burrito, whatever the fuck else I want to call you. Comprehende, amigo?
But before things can escalate, Eric steps in. James then insults JP before ordering him to help with putting an old man to bed. JP is left with no choice but to oblige. After all, he's his superior. Unfortunately for JP, the patient in the next bed grabs hold of his arm, bites him, and sucks his blood for as long as he can. If James had not pulled off the patient, Mr. Vampire would have probably emptied JP's entire bloodstream. JP asks James not to hurt the man before passing out in his sleep. Later on, JP has a weird dream where he sees his sister walking up to him. She tells him that they've only been a mile apart this whole time. JP is stunned to see her, but he says nothing. Lily walks over to the window side and asks JP to promise her that he'll take care of things. Just then, the entire room starts to fall apart, and JP realizes that it was a dream all along. Just then, Micah walks over to JP's side and welcomes him back to the land of the living. He wonders how long he's been unconscious, and he's stunned to hear that he passed out for only half an hour. Micah and JP's conversation shifts into a more spicy one as they flirt with each other. JP believes he has found a friend, or would I say a love, in Micah when he finds out that she's not comfortable with how badly the others are treating the patients.
I get what you mean. It feels like they treat the patients more like cattle than actual people.
Exactly. And it's like, that's someone's abuelo or abuela.
Later on at lunch, JP asks the others about Chris. Just then, Cynthia walks over to their table. Camilla asks if she has seen Chris, but Cynthia informs them that he was taken to the detention center due to his disobedience. After she leaves, Big Mac informs them that Cynthia was lying through her teeth. But let's be real. If liars were gold medalists, she'd be the leader of them all. Just then, he shows them Chris's inhaler and informs them that while Chris doesn't eat, he uses his inhaler. He believes Chris is still in the facility and the guards must be hiding something from them. Later on, Big Mac is assigned to an elderly patient named Philip, but rather than make his dad-sitting job easier, he decides to bring him a hot date. And guess who it is? It's Greta.
Oh yeah, get your little elderly edition of Netflix and don't die on me. You laugh, y'all laughing in the inside. I ain't gonna let y'all play with me. I'm funny.
While Big Mac tries to set up the TV, Philip's body starts making funny movements. Greta tries to draw Big Mac's attention to it, but he's too busy trying to set the scene. Big Mac soon walks up to Philip to tell him that the DVD set is no longer working, but he's shocked when he doesn't get off the bed. In a shocking turn of events, Philip comes back to life like a possessed zombie and loses all control. His life force soon drains from him as his body contorts into a weird position. Big Mac runs for his dear life as Philip runs toward him while Greta screams in horror. The following morning, Eric addresses the volunteers and claims that he has no idea what happened to Philip, but we all know he's a lying son of a bitch. Meanwhile, Big Mac narrates what he saw to JP. He tells him that he's seen some horrific things in the world, but this has got to be the most terrifying of them all.
Seriously, it's the most disturbing thing I've ever seen in my life.
Just then, Eric overhears what Big Mac has been saying and asks him if he'd like to chime in, but Big Mac tells him that he just feels bad for Mr. Philip. After the meeting, Eric summons James and JP to the front yard where he introduces them to Virgil, his pet owl. Eric thinks JP has what it takes to be a permanent employee, so he wants him to stick around and hug things out with James, who clearly hates his guts. For Eric's sake, JP acts as though he's interested, even though he has no intention of staying. As James hugs JP, he informs him that he'll make sure to make his life a living hell. JP, not one to miss an opportunity, decides to hug James for slightly longer than he's comfortable with, but before James can pull away, he seizes the opportunity to steal the key to their trackers. At night, he unlocks the tracker using the key and visits Mac's room. He stops in front and is surprised when he hears music from the other side of the room. He decides to join in on the fun, but is shocked when Big Mac dances in sync to a beat while wearing a white face mask. Big Mac pretends not to be embarrassed by this and asks JP to wait for him outside. JP then leaves for Camilla's room. He dangles the keys in front of her and invites her to a pool party, but she drags him instead. Camilla teases JP about his obvious crush on Micah, but she doesn't blame him, because if she was into girls, she would try to hit that too. JP then gives Camilla a look that says, "I'd kill you if I got the chance," but she tells him she's just kidding. A few minutes later, JP stops at Micah's room, and she's pleasantly surprised to see him. She asks him what he's doing there, and she invites him to a pool party. While they talk over brandy, JP flirts with Micah. The poor guy has his eyes glued to Micah like she's the last iced coffee in a desert. And hey, Micah notices, she's no fool. She flirts back, because what's a little chemistry? Things get a little more heated between them as one thing leads to another, and they find themselves in JP's bedroom. JP asks Micah if she's really sure that she wants to do this, and she says yes. JP watches her in a dreamlike trance as she walks up to him. When JP gets out of bed the next morning, he nearly dies of a heart attack. There, right beside him in bed, is someone's great-grandmother, looking like she took a wrong turn on her way to bingo night. Naturally, he screams like a man and wonders if he had just slept with his great-grandma, but Micah walks in and asks her what she's doing there. She helps the old lady out of his bed and tells him that she had probably wandered in there because of her dementia. Later on, Big Mac asks JP whether or not he smashed Micah last night. JP tells him he did, and Mac congratulates him like a proud dad.
Respect, did not know you had that type of game, baby. Hey, now you know.
JP then spots Greta playing with the very same finger scooters that his sister Lily used to make for the entire family. When JP asks Greta about the scooters, she reacts by shaking and grabbing his hand tight. James and Cynthia quickly run over to them and sedate Greta before taking her away. After they leave, Micah walks up to JP and tries to cheer him up, but he's more concerned about where they're taking Greta. They then join the others, who inform them that they can't remember anything that happened the previous night. But it turns out that Big Mac isn't the only one with a short memory span. Even Camilla can't remember a single thing about how the night ended. Camilla tries to pack her hair in a ponytail, but JP notices a mark on her neck and tries to inspect it. Naturally, she tells him to fuck off. He finally explains that he just saw what looks like a bad hickey on her neck. Micah asks if she remembers being sedated, but Camilla reminds her that being sedated means you can't remember anything. And Wednesday spits fire again. At night, JP sneaks into the sickbay and discovers that Greta is actually his sister, who he recognized with a butterfly tattoo behind her ear. Before he can free her, James discovers JP and knocks him out. The next day, the gang grows worried when JP doesn't return, leading Micah and Mac to search Eric's office while Camilla remains outside as a lookout. Mac finally finds the plans for a grinding machine after a long period of searching. As James enters the room, he doesn't notice them hiding in the corner. He steals some of Eric's brandy before leaving, while Micah and Mac narrowly escape capture. Meanwhile, JP wakes up in a wheelchair alongside two people who seem like they're his peers, but have wrinkled faces. Not long after, JP learns that the same shit has happened to him. He soon finds himself alone in the room with no way out except to enter a password. He tries several passwords, but they don't work. After several failed attempts, JP recalls the old woman's advice that Virgil will set him free, and the door finally unlocks. And while our boy JP is busy escaping adulthood, Eric and Governor Finn, co-owners of Liberty Burgers, are at one of their restaurants celebrating impressive profits. When Finn inquires about any recent complaints regarding the burger patties, Eric confidently explains that there's zero issues because he's discovered the perfect substitute for ham.
Nothing to worry about. The sedatives keep the kids in check. We also lace them with highly effective hormones, tenderizing their bodies by more than 20%. Prototype produces twice the number of patties in half the time of your average assembly line. We have more product than we know what to do with. And the results are the same across all 12 of our facilities. Which means, Governor, we have a commercially reliable product that's safe to eat, tastes just like the real thing. And best of all production costs are covered by John Q. taxpayer.
Damn.
Back at the facility, JP ventures into the production area and is horrified to discover lifeless bodies preserved in plastic bags. It turns out that, due to the high cost of genuine meat, Eric has been using human meat and bones, sourced by slaughtering young immigrants, to make the burger patties. The hormones used to tenderize the flesh cause accelerated aging in the illegal immigrant population, a side effect that conveniently masks their gruesome operations. In a state of panic, JP attempts to flee but runs into Micah. When he insists on warning the others, he is stunned to see her team up with James to knock him out, a betrayal compounded by the revelation that Micah was actually working as Eric's spy.
For the record, we never happened. I don't fuck Val.
Meanwhile, Mac hides in the facility's vents and discovers that everyone is being drugged. He sneaks above Camilla's room and hands her a key to remove her tracker. Determined to escape with Big Mac and the others, Camilla searches for JP. While investigating the dining hall, she confirms Chris's suspicions about a one-way window, but collapses before informing anyone. When she wakes up, she realizes that half her face has aged, and JP warns her that their time is running out. Despite their weakened state from sedatives, they devise an attack plan. The group, including the elderly, ensures James, Micah, and Cynthia are alone before ambushing them. JP is then tackled by a guard who rips out his piss bag, causing him immense pain, but he fights back. Seeing JP struggling, Big Mac leaps down and snaps the guard's neck. Meanwhile, the elderly flee while JP, Camilla, and Lily reach the control room, where they find Chris, now drastically aged and locked up. He cries about how much damage they've done to JP's face. Speak for yourself, Gramps. Suddenly, Eric attacks, blaming JP for ruining his plans. He straps JP onto a board, intending to grind him into minced meat for unsuspecting children. JP, barely conscious, watches in terror as he nears the grinder, until Camilla rescues him just in time. Chris, overwhelmed by hormonal effects, becomes uncontrollably violent. In a gruesome display, he kills Eric by shattering his jaw, leaving him as nothing more than minced flesh. Meanwhile, JP and the others flee for their lives. The immigrants fight for their lives with Big Mac as their able leader. Later on, Big Mac finds Camilla and JP sleeping in a nearby park and almost has a heart attack after assuming that they're dead, but it turns out that they're just playing possum.
Y'all playing game with my emotions right now? Y'all see me? I'm about to fuck the both of y'all. All right, I'm out of here.
He then teases them about being old and promises to get a hip replacement surgery for Camilla while leading them back home. On the other hand, all the illegal immigrants are released and their children get a chance to reunite with their parents again, even if some of them look old enough to give birth to their parents. Liberty Burger also gets banned by the government, while Governor Finn has escaped the country. Too bad, he should have ended up as minced meat.